VCT Americas 2025 season has concluded. We now know all 4 teams heading into Champions 2025, so let's talk about how the last weekend of the VCT Americas 2025 season went. So this is the board we have today. We have all 4 matches that took place during the weekend. We have 2 best of 3s to talk about and 2 best of 5s to talk about. And starting with the very first game of the weekend, G2 versus Sentinels. Honestly, I don't feel like it's worth it to spend a lot of time on this one, because this one was kind of a wash from G2. G2 coming in with Leaf back in the roster, joining the team not looking like he skipped a beat at all. This man has not been competing for nearly 2 months at this point, and he looked very good against Sentinels, a team that honestly looked pretty flat this entire weekend. This is a team that has lost to G2 quite a bit over this year. Yes, they did win at the beginning of Stage 2 against G2, but that was with Baby Bay, but honestly, even if Baby Bay was still playing during this match, I do think G2 win it. Looking at map 1, we have Bind. This one ended up being a 13-8 win in favor of G2, this one also being their map pick. G2 showcasing a pretty deep map pool in this match, playing Bind as well as Sunset, banning Lotus, which is interesting because that has been one of their best, if not the best map for G2 this entire season, but it is also one of Sentinel's best maps, so I guess they just didn't want to get countered on it. But anyways, Bind did start off well for Sentinels, getting some good rounds at the beginning of the game, ended up having a 3-1 lead, but then G2 able to storm their way back, and it ended up being 7-5 at the half, with G2 having a very solid defense side. Then we go to G2's attack side, they win the first 4 rounds of that half. Sentinels in a pretty deep hole here at this point, 10-5 lead for G2. Sentinels just not looking as locked in as maybe you would have expected them to, trying to beat this team, a team that has been a thorn in their side. While Sentinels were able to get 3 rounds on their defense side, G2 just had the read on their attack, and this one was over at round 21. Looking at map 2, we have Sunset, this one being Sentinels pick, a map that Sentinels have historically been quite good on, but G2 able to upset them on this one. At least I would say it's an upset. I did expect this game to go to 3 maps, but G2 in playoffs have showcased a pretty strong Sunset. I do like their comp here with Joggermo on the Neon, you got Jonah P on the Sage. Both those players making some really big plays, as well as Leaf on the Chamber, again, not looking out of place at all. And G2 basically stormed their way to a 9-3 half, winning the first 5 rounds of the game. Sentinels in shambles pretty early on in this one. And while Sentinels would make it a little bit closer by winning the first 4 rounds of their attack side, making it only a 2-round deficit, so looking like they can actually take this one, 9-3 curse and all that. But G2 end up forcing 2 separate saves from Sentinels here, and they end up winning this one at round 22. Most, if not all of the momentum was on G2 during this entire game, at least after those first few rounds of Bind. Looking at the team MVPs on the side of G2, we have Leaf. In his grand return, he played great. He went 35, 29, and 11 for +6. On the side of Sentinels, we have Bank, who went 32, 28, and 10 for +4. In terms of pistol rounds, it was even on that, 2 apiece for each team. Eco rounds, 2 apiece as well. In terms of half buys, 7 wins on a half buy for G2, 6 wins on a half buy for Sentinels. And on the full buys, this is where G2 had the advantage, 16 wins on a full buy and only 8 wins on a full buy from Sentinels. So Sentinels lose yet another game against G2. Honestly, kind of disappointed that Sentinels didn't come out swinging for this one. While they had a good start to this game, they just kind of didn't have an answer for G2's very solid calling. Valorant calling circles around John QT in this one, and I really thought that Sentinels would at least be able to put up a better fight, especially on that Sunset, but that is not how it went. Let's see how the rest of the bracket went for both of these teams. Moving on to what I would say was the biggest game of the entire weekend, we have Energy versus C9. This one being the most important game of, I would argue, the entire Americas season. Both of these teams fighting for the last spot at Champions 2025. Now, of course, because of the tiebreaker, MIBR did take that 3rd spot when both Sentinels and G2 were confirmed to be in the top 3 of this tournament, as well as Crew getting out, so MIBR would qualify, and if they were in a different region, then they would not have the tiebreaker win, because for some reason it works different in Americas, which sucks, but we can talk about that at a different time. But anyways, those situations led to this game being the fight for the final spots, and it was a very hard fought match. While there was one lopsided map in this one, Energy and C9 were playing very close to each other. I did a video about this matchup before it happened, and I thought it was very interesting how incredibly close these 2 teams seemed in both recent performance and a lot of their players, and it ended up being a very intense, highly contested match that Energy just ended up getting those last few rounds over. And looking at map 1, we have Haven. This one being Energy's pick. They would lose their own pick, and C9 would have a very solid start to this game, winning the first 7 rounds on their defense side. I thought defense side on Haven was their weak spot, and usually it has been in stage 2, but they looked great on it here. It did end up being 8-4 at the half though, so Energy clawing their way back into this one. Definitely had to fight for it. It was not an easy fight, and C9 did start the second half strong as well. They end up getting to map point at round 17, so Energy have a big comeback. Energy were down 12-5. They end up winning 5 rounds in a row to make it close, but they could not bring this one to overtime. This one is over before they could get there. Moving on to map 2, we have Corrode. This one was C9's pick, which is pretty interesting because Energy have been very good on Corrode. C9 has been kind of up in the air on it, and this one did not go their way. They end up getting dumpstered on this one, 13-2. Really not much to say about this one. It was a 10-2 half in favor of Energy, while C9 did steal the anti-eco, but C9 didn't get a single round after round 3. This one over with a 12-round winning streak from Energy. But it's okay, while that one did go quick, this would not be a wash. This last map of Lotus was incredibly close. Some insane hero plays from Brock, Ethan, Oxy, Vic, everyone playing to their highest level. This was a very close match, one of the best maps of the Americas season. It was just back and forth. We have C9 winning the pistol, but then losing the anti-eco. Both teams end up trading rounds and ends up being even at the half, so it's very tense at this point, and C9 would get to 9 rounds by winning the first 3 rounds on their defense side. So Energy looking for answers, they would find it. Again, Brock, Ethan being those main drivers of it. They would win 4 rounds in a row to get back in this one, but then C9 get to 10 off of a pretty solid retake round for them, but then 3 rounds in a row from Energy. C9, they had their moments, they had their chances, they just couldn't execute. And this one would be over, Energy taking the last champion spot of Americas. Looking at the team MVPs on the side of Energy, we have Brock, who has been great these playoffs. He went 52, 36, and 21 for plus 16. On the side of C9, we have Oxy, who did have a great game. He also went 52, 49, 10, and plus 3 for him. In terms of pistol rounds, C9 did have the advantage there with 4. Energy had 2 eco rounds, 3 for Energy, 4 for C9. Half buys, 9 for Energy, 11 for C9. And on full buys, 24 wins on a full buy for Energy, only 10 for C9. So they definitely had their struggles on the rifle rounds. So that would end C9 season, and honestly, I am proud of this team. I do honestly feel pretty bad for them not qualifying for yet another international tournament. I did predict Energy to win, and I do like Energy more as a team, so I did want Energy to win this one, but just seeing net right after they lost was just absolutely heartbreaking. It's just heartbreaking to see these teams put so much work in and just end up falling short at the last hurdle. They looked so good, they had the lead, they had the advantage, and they just couldn't get it done. But unlike other failed playoff runs from C9, I think this is one that they can be proud of. Obviously, it sucks not making it to champions, but they played their heart out to this bracket. You can make fun of them for not making yet another international, but I don't think you can say that this was a choke. Yes, that Corrode wasn't very good, but C9 played very well in those maps 1 and 3. I think they can hang their heads high, and it's going to be very interesting to see what this roster ends up doing in the future. Anyways, moving on to the second last match that we have to talk about, Energy versus Sentinels. Energy winning this one in pretty convincing fashion. I thought this one would probably go to Sentinels, with Energy making a pretty close game out of it, but Sentinels ended up looking pretty flat once again. In the top 4 bracket, Sentinels just really couldn't find their footing, especially in a match where they did have a pretty favorable map pool, honestly, but it was a map pool that Energy is also pretty strong on, these teams having kind of similar map pools heading into this one, and Energy just found a way to beat Sentinels at their own game. Starting with map 1, we have Lotus, a map that Sentinels have been very good on for a while now, but it's also been one of, if not Energy's best map as well, and they proved it very early on. A 10-2 first half for Energy on that defense side, just crazy work there, not letting Sentinels get onto side. When they did, it's just a retake. Very good work from Energy here. Sentinels would win the second pistol and the anti-eco, but 3 in a row was all Energy needed to put this one in the bag. Moving on, we have Icebox. Now, this being a map that I think Energy absolutely could have the advantage on, and they showed exactly why. Sentinels would make this one more interesting though. Energy would win those first 3 rounds, so they do convert their bonus round, but then 8 in a row from Sentinels, dominating on their attack side, but Energy would break their streak at round 12, and Energy would would continue that momentum by winning the first 6 rounds of the second half, 7 total. Sentinels would break their streak at round 19 and get to 11 rounds, so they still had a chance to win this one, but it just was not enough. Energy win those last 2 rounds, and this one is over. Moving on, we have Sunset, this one being a map that Sentinels just got stumped by G2 on, but they would start this one strong. They did end up having a 4-1 lead at round 5, but after a round win at round 8, it would end up being 7-5 in favor of Energy at the half. So Sentinels needing a bit of a comeback here, not wanting to get swept on one of their best maps, and they end up winning the first 4 rounds to take the lead back. Energy would get 3 of their own, but Sentinels able to complete the comeback. And then we have Corrode, a map that has been good for both teams here, and Energy just ended up looking better. An absolutely insane first half from them. An 11-1 half against Sentinels on a map that they've been very good on. Yes, they've been better on attack side than defense, but you would hope that their defense side would at least be formidable, but nope, they could only get 1 round. Energy were just calling circles around them. Again, Brock just doing a great job here. Mata as well on the waylay. Interesting decision there, but it worked out. But Sentinels would make the scoreline look a little bit better by winning the first 5 rounds of the second half. Energy would take a timeout. They end up winning round 18, and then they end this one at round 21 before Sentinels could continue their comeback. Looking at the team MVPs on the side of Energy, Brock, his best game as a member of this team, 82, 52, and 23 for plus 30. Absolute insane work from him. He was the MVP of Energy's entire playoff run, I would say, and this was his best game coming in at a very important time. John QT, while he was outcalled by Ethan and Bonkar, he did go 59, 54, and 37 for plus 5. Pistols were even at 4. Ecos were even at 4. 13 wins on a half buy for Energy, 9 wins on a half buy for Sentinels, and the full buy rounds, 32 wins on a full buy for Energy, 21 for Sentinels. So Sentinels, man, I am disappointed with what I've seen from them during this top 4 bracket. I thought Sentinels were going to win the entire stage. I thought they looked the best during the group stage for most of it, if not the entire thing, and then they end up making it to top 4 pretty easily. But I don't know, man, they just came out flat against both G2 and Energy. I don't know what they were expecting from Energy specifically. Clearly Kaplan was out prepped by Bonkar because Bonkar just had a read on them, and Sentinels just couldn't really find those same hero plays from some of their players that they've been finding throughout the stage. So it is unfortunate to see them go out like this, but ultimately they're in champs. It doesn't really matter that much. They will be the 3rd seed in America, so one of the champs points teams, and don't take this team for granted. Yes, they didn't look great in stage 2. Guess what? They didn't look great in stage 2 last year, and they made top 4 at champs. So just want to put that out there. This team can go on a run at champions. It's not impossible, but they need to get better than this because this kind of sucked to watch. Moving on, we have the grand final of the VCT Americas 2025 season. Hoping for a good match? Not really. It kind of just ended up being pretty much a wash from G2 from all fronts, just outclassing Energy for much of this. While these 3 maps were pretty close, it just felt like G2, aside from the start of Bind, were just always in control. They really established dominance in the Americas this year, and this was the final nail in the coffin. Looking at map 1, we have Bind, this one being G2's pick, a map that they did previously beat Energy on, but it looked like it was a bad decision to pick it at first because Energy looked amazing to start this one. Pretty sure it took a while for both Jonapi and Valen to get kills. Ended up being 9-3 at the half. Energy just absolutely looking in control here. But then G2 mount the comeback and they don't stop. 8 rounds in a row to start their defense side. Energy even taking a timeout ain't gonna help. Absolutely eviscerating that lead that they have. Ended up getting to 11 rounds before Energy could finally break it. But Energy can't stop them from getting to match point, and they couldn't bring it to overtime. Moving on to map 2, we have Lotus. Energy picking this one, but again, it's a very good map for both of these teams. But this one would be pretty even in the first half. G2 winning the first 2 rounds, but Energy stealing the bonus, winning 3 to take the lead. But then G2 go on a streak of their own, win 5 rounds in a row with very solid defense side. Energy win the last 2 rounds of the half, but then G2 start the second half strong with a very good attack half. G2 win 5 rounds in a row. They get to map point at round 17. Energy cannot tie it back up. And then we have Ascent. This one being G2's pick. They've been very good on this map all year. And yet again, while the map scores are pretty close overall, it just felt like G2 had it. It just felt like they weren't going to lose this one. While Energy would win the first 2 rounds, as soon as G2 steal the bonus, they end up winning 6 rounds in a row, not letting Energy get anything going on their defense side. It wouldn't end up being 7-5 at the half though, so only a 2-round deficit, and then Energy would end up taking the lead by winning the first 3 rounds of the second half. But then G2 lock it down on their defense side. Energy can just barely get onto site here. Not even even getting the spike down until round 21, G2 just not allowing them to be comfortable at any part of the map. And then at round 23, G2 win the round that wins them the VCT Americas Stage 2 playoffs. This is the first time in the Americas where there has been a three-peat champion, G2 winning kickoff, Stage 1 as well as Stage 2. Very impressive work from them, and this game kind of showcased how much of a gap there is between them and the rest of the league. Looking at the team MVPs on the side of G2, we have Valorant, who went 45, 43, and 31 for +2, also won MVP of the tournament. That's great. Looking at Energy, we have Scuba, who went 49, 40, and 20 for +9. In terms of pistol rounds, 3 apiece for both teams. Eco rounds, 3 apiece as well. Half buys, 8 wins on a half buy for G2, 7 wins on a half buy for Energy, and the full buy rounds, 27 for G2, 19 for Energy. So honestly, not the worst performance from Energy. I think the main point of concern would be that blown lead on Bind. They absolutely could have won that map. They were only 4 rounds away from doing it, and maybe if they win that, then maybe they can get a second one. But overall, it just felt like G2 were just like, nope, we're not losing this. We're going to be the 3-peat champions, and it's going to be pretty easy for us. They just looked locked in, and honestly, this team just looks absolutely locked in right now. Leaf coming back has been huge for them. He played great during both of these games. He looked fantastic. We got Baby Bay in the coaching booth now. That's hilarious. Bro's literally just going to pull a mind freak here. It's going to be awesome, and hey, this team is going to be a real contender for champs. And for Energy, there are lessons to be learned from this match. This might be a valuable match to lose, honestly. Take some of the lessons that you learned from this playoff bracket, which they did look incredible at, bring them to champs, and see if you can be a dark horse candidate to win the whole thing. We will see how they do at that tournament later. And of course, they did the draw show for the champions groups. I'm not going to talk about that in this video, but I will be talking about that in later videos. So please stay tuned for my coverage of Champions 2025, as well as my final VCT Americas power ranking for the season. So look out for that. That'll be coming probably tomorrow. So anyways, let me know in the comment section down below, what did you think of these matches? What did you think of G2 being the 3-peat champion? Are you surprised? Did you think Sentinels were going to win? Did you think Energy were going to win? How has this year of the Americas been for you? Let me know all that and more in the comment section down below. Please click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.